Welcome to Laguna Podcast, an attempt at illustrating the lives and stories from the Texas outdoors. Today I sit down with a man who has affected a considerable percentage of fly anglers across the entire state of Texas. Spending many years at Orvis and leaving that for Swan Point Landing, this is my conversation with Dave Hayward. So with that being said, you ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Cool. So I'm sitting here at Swan Point with the legendary Dave Hayward, and I'm really excited to get this rocking and rolling. So if you're ready, then we can just get into it. Start me from the very beginning. Your first memory in the outdoors and how you started to become the outdoorsman you are now.
Just had a real good outdoor-oriented family, Western Pennsylvania. Our vacations were canoe trips, walking trips, going to small headwater creeks for brook trout and all that, and eventually started catching bluegills on rubber spiders with an old school friend, and he had an Orvis catalog, and that was the beginning of it. Saw the English reels and in page 6, and that was all over.
Yeah.
20 years later, came down to Houston during the Rust Belt migration of 1981 and stumbled on the Orvis Houston store that was a year old. Mm-hmm. Went in there. I go, we got to go in there, and tapped this guy on the shoulder, asking him how do I use this whip finisher? And it was the guy I went to college with. So he got me on with Orvis Houston a year later. Mm-hmm. And 18 years of retail, finished up at 40 at Orvis Houston. So that was just a real good fertile time. Texas Fly Fishers was going. 3 or 4 fly shops were in their infancy, and saltwater fishing on the coast was getting ready to bust.
Mm-hmm. Who introduced you to fly fishing?
Old friend David Wilcox. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we were in that time of baseball, Jethro Tull, and rubber spiders and bluegills.
You were playing baseball like at a professional level, or
no? We were 9 or 10. Oh. I could have been. I was a prodigy, but
my bad.
I couldn't hear the curveball. But yeah, I played through high school. But David Wilcox and I went separate paths, but fishing was a core thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, was there any moment in your infancy where you realized, okay, this is something that I am extremely passionate about? Like, because I assume, like, again, you went different paths, end up at the same place. You're at a fly shop, but I'm curious as to what made you stick to it 100%. Like, was it a story? Was it a person, etc.?
It was the annual trips up to Massachusetts to see grandpa sets up there. Wow. So from Pennsylvania, then they had a bunch of mill ponds with pickerel, bluegills, yellow perch, and Aunt Betty took me out, and we got a pumpkin seed and a yellow perch and put it on a wooden twig. And one of my old great uncles, I saw him cleaning it he had a dress shirt on and suspenders, and he cleaned those 2 fish, and that was it.
Yeah. And then you mentioned coming down with the Rust Belt migration, ending up in Texas. Mm-hmm. How did you get the introduction into the Orvis in Houston?
I walked through the front door. Yeah, but no, and like I said, a guy I went to college with was working the fishing department. Uh-huh. So he said, I'll get you a job next year. So I went back to Pennsylvania one more year at Penns Creek State Park on Penns Creek as a park ranger. And he got me in the next year for Christmas, 82.
Mm-hmm. And that first year, how did it go?
Good. I bought a whole bunch of Orvis crap, and they took $12 out of your pay every month. Mm-hmm. So I bought a float tube, a bunch of shirts and ties, so they couldn't fire me, and just started back in the fishing department. And it was great. And there was people from all over the country that now also down in Houston, New York expatriates, bass fishermen. And that club, that Texas Fly Fishers, was a really fertile group of folks who were real stoked on long rod.
Who were some names that kind of stood out to you back then?
Brooks Bolden, who turned into Angler's Edge, Chris Phillips, Mitch Whitney, Elliot Tucker, Jim Darby, Johnny Scarborough were all part of that big group that started out. Everyone was just looking for input. And Orvis Houston and the club and a couple other shops, we bring in all the greats, Lefty, Chico, Borger, and they'd spend one day at the shop and then another day with the club on an outing, and that was really good for everybody, just getting stoked.
Did you ever get a chance to spend time on the skiff with some of those legends?
No, but I watched Lefty Cray and Brooks Bolden sneak up on some bass, and Lefty was casting on the boat and Brooks was paddling, and everybody's watching from the bank, and Lefty could not make this 45-foot cast to this under this tree, and it turned out his fly line was on backwards. And in front of like 120 people, the grade just dropped a 30-footer, 10 feet short. But yeah, we saw all those guys multiple times, and it was.
This episode is made possible by our friends over at Gordy & Sons Outfitters, located in Houston, Texas, and employing a team of experienced outdoorsmen specializing in fly fishing, hunting, and wing shooting. Gordy & Sons is sure to prepare you for success in the outdoors. Next time you find yourself preparing for a weekend getaway or a bucket list trip, be sure to give them a visit at www.gordyandsons.com.
Really good to get that Florida input on it, which was pretty much a barren Texas canvas at that time.
Do you have a decent recollection of how Texas fly fishing evolved from that point forward? What came first?
Well, you started seeing skiffs. There's three guys who had fished saltwater in the club, so they were automatically the treasurer, the boss. They were already part of the office officials. And some guys went freshwater. Some guys didn't want to, dick around with a boat, kayak, or flow tube was their thing. So people went fresh, salt, occasional Guadalupe River trip.
Some of the notable people I do want to go over some of the stuff with Chris Phillips. Like I said, some stuff with Chuck Skates. Are there any other guides that you were meeting at the time that also had a big notoriety to you, or maybe a big influence to you as an angler, more so than someone who was working shops?
Most of our talent coming in that we paid for was, all the guys in Florida that already had a couple of books under their belt. And occasionally we'd have some freshwater experts. Borger was a really good live act, Gary Borger. And just some other guys over that first decade there. But it was all dropped on real fertile soil. Everybody soaked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you miss about that time that we don't have anymore in this industry?
I would just say the discovery period, number one. Number two, the more people per square inch now. We're selling people stuff. We're also showing them how to fish. So consequently, they're getting in the way, versus the old days. In the old days, we had 6 bait casting guides in Rockport. They'd all meet their clients down at the restaurant here in town, and you'd never run into each other during the day. There's a fly fishing table. There's a young Jay Watkins. There was Howard Brown, Danny Adams. They all had their own clients they were meeting, but there was enough space. James Fox, there was enough space where everyone could space out, and you never run into another boat during the day. But now, it's
a little different than that.
It's a little different now. But so that and like I said, the discovery, getting out there and getting better. On my day off for 20 years, Tuesday or Thursday, I was in Port O'Connor, Rockport, so I could sight cast.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of that in West Galveston Bay, short of a little bit of Drum Bay, and most of the south side of Christmas Bay was all sight castable. But if we had a day off, we were southbound.
Were you mostly by yourself, or were you fishing?
Bringing buddies down. Occasionally, a wife at the shop would plead me to take her indoor husband on an outdoor trip, and that wasn't always, but eventually down the road, you got to cull and fine-tune the person you were going with if they could withstand a 3-hour one-way drive, potential mechanical in the water, and then survive the road back. Those people were short. There's a short list, and it was a well-earned list. So,
So how was were there any things that you saw on the water back then that you don't see now? Besides no people, obviously. We've covered that already.
I think there's a little bit more awareness of what's going on as far as everything making it down to the coast, from people to runoff to whatever. Mother Nature took a couple hits on us, 81, 89, red tide in 85. But it's a damn resilient fishery. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I caught my first redfish in Port O'Connor, December 83.
That was my next question.
December 83, Grass Island, Port O'Connor. And then 3 months later, we had our freeze. And
really?
I had not realized that the first dose of fingerling redfish had been let go that fall. And maybe it perished, but that was the beginning of a good relationship with mariculture.
Wow.
And a little bit more sporting ethic.
When did you get in contact with Chuck Nizer?
Nizer? Oh, he was an old, he was a friend of a friend. They were in business in Houston. And Chuck had I think an airboat down here, and we stumbled into his house on Holiday Beach, and he was noodling around with the fly fishing. Kerry Marcus, this Sage rep, was trying to get his attention, and we went. Me and two buddies came down, and Nigel goes, "If you outfish me today, I'll pick up the fly rod." And I lucked into one fish walking Stedman's with him, and I don't think that was the catalyst. I think Kerry already had him going, but the guy was a predator, and he was meant for that next step in hunting fish. Yeah.
What about you? Anything between you and Kerry?
We were 20 years later, 15 years later. We were rival reps. He had Sage, and I had Orvis. And he always badmouthed Orvis. I think he trashed the Orvis Dallas store. And I'm thinking that he tied for Orvis in the old days, and I think he tied a gross of woolly buggers for him and did the wrong color tail. He was pissed off forever after that on Orvis. So that's my theory. But we had similar territory selling Orvis to mom and pop fly shops in like an 8-state area and ran into each other.
Heard. Right. I figured you guys would have known each other.
All laughable. All laughable.
I guess I would definitely like to maybe go over some stuff with the Chris Phillips story. I know Andy Packmore, broke it down, what had happened, community came together. Just a couple minutes ago, you and I were chatting about it, and it seemed like you had already given me so much more detail, so I would really like to kind of maybe like take your time a little bit and just break down all of what had happened and the event in detail the way you just did, because that was really cool.
I could remember meeting Chris the first time. He was always tanned. I knew he's a house builder. He worked 11 months out of the year and then spent a month in Florida. So he was he's the first person to get everybody lathered up when he came back on long rod with fly rod and saltwater. And he did that for a number of years, got some notoriety down there. He met all the greats, and then working with Anglers Edge, Brooks Bolden, had a good interface with aspiring fly fishermen here. But real good guy, ultra enthusiastic. I mean, you start vibrating after listening to 2 sentences from him. He's just completely frenzied on fly. And tarpon was his big deal. But yeah. And had a place in Galveston, Tiki Island area. We fished a couple times. We fished at night down there in December, blind casting for one fish. And I remember my waders leaking right off the bat in December. And he had some soup on the boat, and that got us through. But we went out one night. It was a full moon. You could, in waist deep water near the Galveston Causeway, you could see your feet.
Really?
On show. It was that bright. And that's just part of the fabric, part of the getting it out. And then I think I drove to New Orleans the next day to go fishing with a guide over there. So had a lot more energy back then. But Chris, mainly getting it off Chris. The guy was just a live wire. And then got sick. There was a bunch of folks rallied around him, all different disparate types, all fly shops. Anybody related to the business got involved. Big fundraisers, silent auction, Brooks, Mike Wilson, all got involved and made a buttload of money for Chris's. A lot of guys just don't have the health care, and it was a great outpouring. And I think, we easily made over $120,000, I think, clear.
Yeah. That
we helped out with Chris's medical needs, and still had more left for another fundraiser, maybe a month or two later. Yeah. So good outpouring. We take care of our own.
Yeah, no, and it's very obvious to see that this community really does care about one another. Run me through, I guess, some of your own. You mentioned you've been to New Orleans. What are some of the locations that you feel fortunate to have visited in your career? Well,
with the Orvis Houston store, along with Doggett, I was able to go to quite a few different places. I bring a group of customers with me, and we had some phenomenal trips. Where we did Russia, did Christmas Island a couple of times.
Okay, you're going to break both of those down in detail in a minute.
Yeah, but it was a really good way to see stuff, and you come back and everyone would be lathered up to buy the new tackle that you had tested out on these trips and all. But after a while, some of the customers' wives said, "Man, this dog in Hayward deal, they're taking guys out fishing and bringing them back a week later. Maybe I can dump my husband off on them." So I wasn't able to screen future candidates for some of the trips, and one guy can be can ruin a week in a foreign land with just not used to being outside with guys.
Heard.
So that slowed down after a while. But I had a chance to fish a lot of cool places.
So tell me a little bit about Russia.
Well, Doggett and a couple guys had already been once, and I had a Norwegian friend in the shop, and he had some buddies, and they went to Norway and fished every year. And then one year we piggybacked a week in Russia. So they were fishing with their families in Norway, and then Dog and I flew over and met them through Murmansk and we did like the 5-6 hour drive across the Kola Peninsula. 98. So Gorbachev had just.
If you're enjoying this episode or any others and want to support the project, I would highly encourage you to check out my new book, Laguna. 288 pages with over 300 images and illustrations, containing excerpts by Eric Glass, Chuck Nizer, Tim O'Brien, Bill Gamble, Ben Paschal, Ryan Sparrow, Michaela Elliott, Rick Hartman, Jaco Lucas, John Pilmer, Corey Bauman, Brian Robinson, and myself. Available at select stores, or you can order it directly at buylagunabook.myshopify.com.
Broken up part of the stuff, and it was a great social studies lesson driving across the Kola Peninsula with people selling car parts, blueberries, mink stoles, and you get to some of these big towns with huge industrial complex, and everything downwind from the factory was just dead black.
Wow.
All in the war effort, all in pumping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fishing was great. Atlantic salmon. We ended up at a lodge that where the politicians would hide if Reagan got a little bit testy or there's some saber rattling. These guys would hide out in this place, and it was probably in the latitude equal with upstate Maine. Blueberries, big furs, big water. It was really great trip. Best trip I think I ever had.
Talk about a dichotomy between seeing the industrial destruction and then the nature being so like fruitful.
Yeah, Red Army guys have now turned into park rangers. And they really knew that was their nest egg, that golden egg.
You guys didn't get any like friction coming in through customs or anything?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Well, actually, we landed in Murmansk, the northern port, and we went to 3 different entrances before we even got into the place. It was a big, long airport, and nobody waiting for us. Went to 3 doors that were locked, and finally the 4th door, we come in, and these big, heavy curtains, and here we are in Murmansk.
Big, heavy iron curtain.
Well, but it was velour, but it was.
I'm playing.
It was thick. Yeah.
And then the fishing. So you get there, you see everything fishing.
Yeah, water's high. They got a 14-mile stretch of water. The bottom 7 they can boat to. The upper 7 through a falls. You got to walk up to a tent camp at the top of that. And the river was high, so some of the options were off, but just dragging streamers for Atlantic salmon. We were like 6 miles from the White Sea, and the guides were all locals. The guy who ran the place was a Copenhagen fireman teaching the guys how to fish. And it was a really good lodge for a couple of decades.
Any notable memories from that first time you went over there?
All that would imprint on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I say, Russia was in turmoil. A lot of stuff in Moscow hadn't trickled down to the backcountry. Yeah. But I think Frontiers, a couple other companies were taking the big helicopters over to Western, to Eastern Russia, Kamchatka. We did the drive in the minivan. And while all my buddies were sleeping, I was just looking out the window. That was just a great experience. And all the people were friendly. Yeah. Yeah, at that level. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so Christmas Island.
Through Frontiers, we were able to go once. First time we went, Rick Ruoff was there. Ruoff was training the guides, Big Eddie, Moana, all getting these guys, mid-85, 84, getting them ready for, 30 passengers, 25 passengers a week, staying at the Captain Cook. And we were easily able to recruit really good dozens of folks annually to do that trip. Good chemistry between a lot of folks. Great trips, and bonefish was good. We were having bonefish getting taken off. We had GTs eating the bonefish, and the bonefish average size was really good. Somehow back then the milkfish were eating. I heard they don't eat anymore.
Really?
Yeah, but great place, an old landing strip. The fishery was in its infancy. Ruoff was in for at least a season to teach guys who wanted to do it. They had punts out there. Rick was showing everything from tackle to knots.
Who is Rick Ruoff?
Rick Ruoff, legendary Florida guide.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd been around forever, and he was over there. I think maybe Orvis and Frontiers got him over there to train the staff. So Ruoff was there for 1 year, and then we went every other year for a while. I probably did my last trip in 95 with a group. And special fishery, but it changed over time. I think the last time El Nino was turned into El Nina,
Yeah.
and an island that got 30 inches of rain a year was starting to get 100 or something like that, and it changed the
Damn.
biology for a while. But it's back again. I think more buildings have been put up, and GTs are now the star of the show over there.
Interesting. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember bonefish being like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I saw, what was it? The Avard McLeod, Avark McLeod, the fellow over across the pond who does all the trips, and he did one of those, and his whole thing was big bonefish and then some big GTs, and it was real cool to see stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, great biota over there. Everything you would never see in a aquarium or something. It's pretty cool. The locals were real friendly, and they had a good run over there. I don't know who's worked. I think all the travel operations are doing it now, but we've sent the last couple of folks we've been sent over there have been targeting GTs with big rods. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Other locations you had a chance to visit?
Did a bunch of Florida early on, and when I was a rep, I had a big territory. So I had Amarillo to Knoxville to St. Louis and everything in between. So we had the tail races in Tennessee, Caney Forks, Holston, Toccoa, Watauga, all good big water trout fishing. Of course, Arkansas, White, Little Red, Norfolk were all great. I could be in a different fishery every 3 days as I was showing product. But Louisiana stands out just for some good trips there, and Fushon. But every once in a while, just a sweetwater trip just to rinse off the tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Tennessee, Virginia, and Arkansas.
Were you meeting any interesting folk to those trips up in the Sweetwater?
Oh, yeah. The legendary guides up in Arkansas, Missouri, some real characters, yeah. And all had their fisheries wired. And Arkansas had some amazingly big fish. Andy has some Arkansas background. Yeah.
What are some things you learned doing stuff up there in the freshwater that you could bring down into saltwater when you were coming back down so frequently?
It's good to be back home. I'd be on the road sometimes for 30 days, three oil changes. So I'd come back. One time I came back to Port O'Connor in August, and I get down to Port O'Connor, and it's the middle of the Star Tournament, and I caught this real nice trout on Coast Guard Flat. It's for 8-9 pounds. And I just threw it. I forgot there was a trout killing division in the Star Tournament time. I just let it go. Didn't matter. I was not going to kill a trout anyway. But everyone down there over 50 years old was in waders. And it's 110 degrees. And I get off the water and ask this old timer. And there had been a big run of Vibrio coming through.
No shit.
A bunch of folks. Yeah, a couple of customers in Houston perished. A couple guides had drive-bys that could have taken a leg off if they didn't yank their people off the water and go to the hospital when they
What
did.
year was this?
Oh, I'd say 95, late 90s.
Wow.
No, it'd be in the aughts because I was a rep then. Yeah. But yeah, that is 05, 04. And that came through, and just everyone was taking precautions that it had any kind of compromised systems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good run on that stuff.
Yeah.
But different fishery every couple of days was a good part of the rep business.
Do you think that the fact that you had a different fishery so consistently maybe kind of was able to be the reason why you still find this fishery so addicting, like ours?
It all comes down to sight casting. If I got to end up anywhere, I want to either see the bite or the refusal.
Interesting. Okay.
So I might, like I say, on my day off in Houston for 30 years, if I had a day off, it was Port O'Connor here just so I could see something. If I had to be half day, then I go to walk the South Shoreline of Christmas Bay in a pinch. But yeah, just having the sight cast, and some of the fisheries had it, but here is the real thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's gravitate a little bit more towards skates for a second. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with skates.
Introduced to Chuck Skates, Fausto Ituria put up an Orvis Pants men's clothing store down in Frankie Plaza, and Chuck was designed to be the salesperson. And there's no way Skates was going to be selling pants or Orvis shirts to anybody. But I was at Orvis Houston. My boss sent me down with a line winder to put backing and fly line all the reels that Fausto and Chuck had bought for that men's clothing store, Orvis dealer. And Chuck, Fausto took me out. We fished with Gilbert, He was the snook guy down there a long time ago, and skates. Eventually, Fausto and Chuck and I and Dog, we started fishing that area to help get shallow water expos off the ground. Chuck skates. Wade Duncan had Duncan's house on the Arroyo.
Yeah.
And bringing down a factory of folks, and those guys would take us out fly fishing. Good meal early and late, and that went on for a couple of years. Dog had caught some huge trout. Chuck and Wade had a good following down there doing skinny water stuff. Skate started with his scooter, and he would sit on the front of the boat and doggy paddle with his feet the customers into fish while they're standing on the front platform. He didn't have a push pole back then. And then the next year he got a push pole, and things sort of evolved. But guy had great eyesight. Wade was a real good skinny water fisherman too. The guys were really good on the water.
Yep.
Yeah, and I bet they had a good 15, 20-year run before Chuck came up here.
That reminds me, describe that magazine you showed me in the bag. The story behind that fish.
Doggett and his buddy David Boyles had gone, stayed a couple more days after I left, and they were in some area, and Doggett caught this fish, put it up against the rod, and he thought it was a 28-incher based on where he looked, but he looked later when he got home, and it turned out to be a 32-inch fish. And we saw some amazing fish on the spoils down there, the Cullen House.
Absolutely.
All that stuff now has boat tracks over it and prop marks. It was just hallowed ground back then. Saw some scary fish. And, that was a great time. That was mid, 89 up to mid-90s.
Yeah.
Those guys had a real good run there. And Dial had a house there with guides. Dial was running ultralight spin and tackle on his boat. And he had 3 platforms. The middle one over the middle of the boat was like 30 feet high, and he's up there. And then 2 fiefdoms on front and back platform where his other guys were throwing spin. But he had guys be in the drift sock. He had human drift socks.
Guys, okay.
He would give these guys stingray leggings. They'd have a rope to the bow and the stern, and the guy would just slowly walk. The boat would be downwind.
Yeah.
And Dial would use his human drift sock to move down there, these big 45-mile-long drifts, and he'd wear that guy out and put another guy on the boat for the second half of the day. And,
That's so cool, man.
And from that high up, he could see the curvature of the earth.
I bet.
Throwing light tackle, yeah.
And you mentioned that big fish that we were talking about right now was caught after you left. Did you have a chance to actually hold any of those bigger trout?
Oh, yeah. I got down there a year earlier. I caught a good 8.5, 9-pound fish with Wade. And
Describe it in full detail.
Well, I was just throwing a chartreuse.
No. I want you to please give me the details.
There's a better story.
Okay, all right. Better story after.
Better story. So just chartreuse seduced me through a pothole, and this fish ate right before dinner. And me and my new bomb bass at dinner to Chuck, I'll catch a bigger one tomorrow on a popping bug.
Okay.
And we paid me $100. So next morning we're out drifting in Cullen House. His client is a guy I turned him on to, Lockheed Martin scientist. He had the first camcorder. It's the size of a refrigerator.
Really?
And this guy took the camcorder on the boat. So he documented this. I have the tape of it.
You have... Okay.
Yeah, we got to find a VHS player, though.
I would love to. I'm sure there's some sort of thing, because I did for the book, I got Kevin Shaw to send me the cassette tapes from the Shallow Water Expo. And that's how I rendered them for the book. So I'm sure I could get that.
Yeah, next day we're getting out. It's February, it's leap year, February 29th, 1984. I can remember it. And we're drifting, big long shadows. We're drifting into Cullen House. I got this Brooks Bolden popping bug on, and I'm just throwing it out there 10 feet downwind, down sun. And they're both behind me, Chuck and Dick, with the guy with the video recorder. And I'm just stripping this thing in just to get it in my hand. And there's this little ripple behind it. It's a piggy perch or something, and it turns out to be even a bigger trout. 9-pound fish. Shitty cast, first cast of the day, just to get the line out of my way.
Describe the...
I was surprised that it was 5 feet away. My shadow was on that bug, and the fish still wanted it.
Yeah.
And so that started a big hoopla. We get out of the boats, skates. I don't think we got a net, but we had a full video of it, and so Chuck owed me $100. 10 years later, he finally paid me back at one of the conclaves up in Houston. And so we got, so he paid me back. We had a big party at his hotel room. We had a bunch of folks over at the conclave. And so we paid that bill, and he goes, "Oh, I need $100 to get my power wagon back to the valley. Can you lend me $100?" so I lost it again. I had it in my hand. Easy come, easy go. But yeah, really good angler, good teacher. Yeah, he was a predator too.
Is there any other names that maybe aren't with us anymore that you think are people who are very respectable anglers and guides in that time?
Oh, I didn't focus on a whole bunch of other conventional guides that we had some good hardcore lure and bait guys in Rockport. James Fox, Howard Brown have passed. Those were good influences just to help my fly guides down here. Early infancy fly guides in Rockport, Captain Sam Carpenter, who ran a marine shop down by Cove South. His Alan McNabb, later Alan McNabb's dad, Curtis, Roger Marquardt, were all early guides in the mid '80s, late '80s here in Rockport, and they're still all with us. Yeah. But had a couple one fly tournaments '88, a couple fly only tournaments in '89 at Coves, hosted by Cove Harbor Boat Works, and then everyone just sort of went their way. They made a couple coup de crafts. Curtis and Alan made coup de crafts, a legendary flats boat that came over from Florida. I think John Emery was involved with it, and they cranked out a couple of those before it went away. The coup de craft, yeah.
When you were repping, you said you've been able to cover such a large, expansive area, and you're going to all these different shows. Were you able to witness some of the big fly casting ones, or the ones that showed fly casting, like the Best of the West?
Not too much in the way of tournament casting. We had big conclaves. There'd be a bamboo conclave in Arkansas, another big FFF conclave in Arkansas. There were a couple distance casting experts down in New Orleans at the Lafayette Red Stick Fly Fishers. I saw them do some work, but nothing on the competitive level, but plenty of good exposure.
That's something that just never interested you?
Mainly, no. I just didn't have a lot of opportunities. And, we've been hosting the Hells Bay Owners Tournament here for like a decade and a half. But I got to work that day. Yeah. I'm actually going to work with that guy just came in. I'm actually going to fish the Chittum first annual Owners Tournament.
I don't know if I'm going to fish it with yet. I don't know who I'm fishing with yet. Steven called me about it. I actually called Rick Hartman. I was like, hey, do you want to do it? He was like, honestly, yeah, because Rick is the reason I'll be fishing the Barrage Show next month.
I'm told the entry fee actually includes a Chittum boat with it. So,
is that so?
Yeah. Yeah. But tiller. It'll be a tiller. No, I'm just going to do that with that guy just to, I got some help to cover. So, yeah, going to enter the competitive realm.
That's exciting. That's your first one?
Yeah. Yeah. Other than, like I said, we had a couple release tournaments in the old days. At Cove Harbor Boat Works, we got those Polaroid cameras from the GCCA chapter in Tampa Bay. Yep. They sent them to us. We sent them back packed in seaweed a week later. I mean, all those Polaroid cameras did not do well at saltwater. Oh, boy. So that was a one and done on certifying catch.
Yeah. Are there any other notable stories from your time over at Orvis that you'd like to share?
We were just blessed with a really good customer base. The club was really good. I had a couple mentors in there that helped me.
Like who?
Oh, not on the fishing side as much as just life and not being not being a dick.
Yeah.
Or calling out bad behavior and this and that, financial help and all that. But it was the fabric of the community. There was somebody in the club that could help you out with almost anything short of bank robbery. I mean, we had some good skills in that old club. The Ed Rislow fly tying thing came out of that Houston group. The relationship with Dog was really good. We had a lot of fun, and it had exposed me to the level wine side of the industry, the educated thumb, and the red reel. The red ambassador reel that Texas kids grew up with when they were born. To the ambassador reel in the crib. When they were born, it was just part of the rite of passage for a new male infant into the sporting realm. Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, very cool. And as soon as I got to Houston, I read the Golden Crescent, the Brister, John Cowan collaboration, just so I could talk a little bit more about Texas as I learned about the Texas sporting scene. Yeah.
Who were some writers that you followed a lot back then?
Doggett from the Chronicle. There were a couple guys at the big cities. There was a Sasser.
Well, Doggett worked Pike and
Brister, and then Shannon Tompkins.
Shannon is who I'm blanking on right now.
And that was that Thursday sporting column in the Chronicle was always good. From fishing reports to stories to tackle to travels. That Thursday, 3-4 pages of the Chronicle devoted to outdoor section. It was huge. Yeah.
Had you spent any time with Shannon outdoors?
No, mainly with Doggett, a little bit with Pike when Pike was starting to branch out into radio. But Shannon would come into the store at the end. But I finished up Orvis retail in '98.
Okay.
And then got on the road with the dealer side, the rep side of stuff.
Okay. And how did you end up here?
Just came down, like I say, from the Rockport.
No. Yeah, Rockport. No, we've done all that already.
All right. Let's see. I was a rep with Orvis, and we had like 7 reps nationally, and one of them had to go to make the dealer department profitable. And my territory was the least needed to have a rep. So I'd been working with the owner. I was working with a gentleman to put up 3 Orvis dealers in Port O'Connor, Seadrift, and here. And I was just looking to sell 3 stores worth of crap to him. But the September 2008 hit. And our plans all went from a lodge in Seadrift to nothing other than this one shop.
Yeah.
I think the owner just kept me on as I got let go from Orvis. So it was a great match. We were all designed to send people to the development in Seadrift, Swan Point Landing. And this was a great place to potentially send future customers up to the coast. So, and we're on year 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the first year?
We had 2 chairs, 2 TVs. We had like 9 items. And
Same room we're in right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had 9 items and 3 employees. And it all winnowed down. It started getting profitable when I was the only one here.
Really?
Just went down to 1 employee, yeah.
Was there any like auxiliary help you were getting, or any people who were, coming in and making your job a little easier? Because I know that starting a fly shop is it's a very daunting task.
Yeah. Well, I'd had enough experience starting up mom and pop dealers, but I knew we had enough customer base here. Drew Petrie helped me start the shop here. He's a good fly fisherman. And Mona Nahas was also there. So we had a real good staff that did nuts and bolts, administration, and then gradually I had to wear all those hats.
Yeah.
As we got the payroll down to 1.5 people. That's when the shop starts getting profitable. Wow. Yeah.
Man, and maybe we talked a little bit about the store side, the fishing side. Was it difficult learning the area? Explain that a little bit.
Oh yeah. You'd go down with you meet guides here. Sam Carpenter showed me a bunch of stuff. We'd walk into Fence Lake in the old days, stick outside and walk in. Didn't get up 3 hours later and run in like we do now. So yeah, then you come down on your own. You get your John boat, you get into trouble, you get out of trouble, you'd overnight somewhere. Yeah, you had all the grinding, learning of new water, boat maintenance, trailer maintenance, and all that entails. But gradually you get out and start walking and learning the stuff organically. And every once in a while help from a guide you'd meet a guide in another bay system and learn East Matagorda Bay or West Matagorda Bay, and then Upper Laguna, Lower Laguna. So eventually you would work just to find skinny, knee-deep water on your day off.
What was one of your favorite days in Rockport water?
Just nothing much stands out, but I did have one of my mentors, Jim Daly, Parks and Wildlife. He took me and a buddy over to outside of Pringle, Lighthouse Lakes area. No, not Lighthouse Lakes, the Lighthouse at Port O'Connor. And we dropped Daly off near the Army base. And Troy and I went an hour upwind 20 minutes up to Josephine's Mott. We dicked around there and come back. And Daly's standing at the same spot he was an hour ago. And I go, oh no. Because that guy, if you turn your head, he's a dot on the horizon that covers water.
Yeah.
That fast. And he walked us, all 3 of us walked into like 3 football fields of big trout with 2 or 3 males around them. We had so many shots we could figure out how to pull the fly, put the fly in the female's face, pull it away so the males wouldn't get it, and then put it right back on. We had enough reps to figure out how to get the fly to these fish had 3 males around them, spawning females for 300 yards, spread out.
How many fish did you connect with?
I think everybody got 2 fish over 8. And we had,
crazy.
And Daly went back the next day and there's no fish there. He said they all moved into Pringle the next day, but it was March 3rd. And Troy gives me some grief for remembering that, but it was that good. It was that good. We were wet wading, fish everywhere. They are spread out perfectly. I mean, it was almost like they were on a checkerboard.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Are there any other days you've had like that, either in Russia, Christmas Island, things that stick out to you where it's just like that is just something that you see once in a lifetime?
Nothing comes to mind right now, but just catching the tough fish, getting a little bit of sun in like 12 seconds and capitalizing on it where you can see the only fish of the day. Just showing up sometimes and getting real lucky. I came down here when I started the shop. I worked real hard the first year to get everything going. And it was Easter, might have been Easter Sunday. So I took my boat out it's blowing 30 miles an hour. I'm fishing a 9-weight line, full slow sinking 9-weight line and big flies, 2 drift socks. It's that bad.
Yep.
And I am covering water. I'm throwing good. 4 hours. I'm getting ready to drift into the intercoastal, shut down a stake out, put the 9-weight down, pick up an 8, pick up a push pole and start drifting. And I had just flip the 8-weight fly over to the side of the boat as I got back up on the front.
Uh-huh.
And as I stood up there, my fly was 2 inches away from a 28-inch trout. My shortest cast of the day, not even looking. I couldn't have made a better cast if I'd seen her. And she just ate as I drifted off into the ditch. So just showing up is half of it. And I tell my students, we do a lot of cast students, short game is king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So those little gifts will keep you going. And
if there's one thing I've learned from talking to you right now, it's pepper as much as you can out of the first 10 feet of the first 10 feet that you're fishing.
I know. I should be selling 9-foot-long fly lines.
Tenkara rods.
Yeah. And then my people could say they could throw a whole fly line. Yeah. But, yeah. And I was fishing the front beach of Trader one time with a really good trout fisherman, Cruz Lamas, in the valley. He came up and we walked this one.
That's the name I remember. Okay,
Cruz,
okay, yes,
yeah, he is a fish whisperer.
I need to get in contact with him.
Yeah, you don't fish behind him. Anyway, we're walking down the shoreline and it's just barren, nothing. I'm walking back to the boat. I'll pick you up. So I do a 25-minute walk back to the boat. I motored down half of it, then I just decided to pole in the last half in case he stumbles on a fish. And so come up behind him. We're on hard sand and great habitat out there. And he walks into the boat, and he just gets in the boat. His line's already hanging on and I honestly don't stroke more than one more time, and there's 3 fish off his right elbow, all 30-inch fish, and he caught one. But we had made no noise apparently.
Yeah,
because we had.
Because you pulled in, but yeah.
Pulled in, and he got into the boat quietly. And then as soon as he got up on the platform, there were 3 fish right there, 2 rod lengths away. And he got one. So there's lessons in there. There's lessons in there.
Showing up is half the battle. I don't disagree.
Yep.
Wow. What do you find value in your day-to-day working here at Swan Point?
Good question. We got a chance to get beginners. We got an 81-year-old beginner just came in the shop a couple minutes ago.
Airboat friends.
He's already cooked in, but he bought flies and he's going out there. We got buddies bringing their beginning friends in. We got people getting new boats that need someone to teach them how to run them.
Uh-huh.
We have an interface here to get people with the right people to do it right on the water, not be that person at the boat ramp, not burning shorelines, leaving water fishable. And I can do that at the face level here at a certain point. But we have, of course, Flatsworthy, our grassroots group here, 10 years old now, where we got information online to how to run the boat right, how to ramp your boat up and off and on a ramp, and just basic 101 saltwater, following your shadow, down sun, don't high hole people, give them some space to walk and spread out. A bent rod is not a fish finding method anymore. Just go find your own water. And but we have an opportunity at this ground level to make impressions that hopefully will be a positive versus a negative out there.
Are there any people that you've seen through the shop kind of come in as an angler and, after a couple years be a very well-seasoned outdoorsman?
Yep. And they had some help along the way. Some guys, some guys are coming to this already cooked cake. And they say, no, don't tell me what to do on the water. I get told what to do at home and at work. Don't tell me what to do on the water. But we got folks that have learned from good guides or good mentors, and it's sped up their process, and they can pass that on. All of our fly guides we work with down here are really good at making a good impression with a customer.
Are there any fly guides you want to give a special shout out to?
We've got a good group here. I don't want to miss anybody, but
if you do, no worries.
Okay, you can edit something in later or add your own later. Hey, Trace Barkman, Travis Glidden, Captain Drew Donahue, Billy Trimble, Stacy Lynn, and we've got 3-4 guys in Port O'Connor, of course. The Fab Four over there, but I think our fly customers don't know it or not, but they can get a lot more information out of a fly guide if they ask and just be ready to learn. There's some really seasoned guides here that have the game wired. Yeah, and of course down in the Lower Laguna, Eric Glass, a couple other guys I haven't fished with, but I heard are very good along with Glass. That Brian Robinson, Ben Paschal, Bill Hagan, all great reputations and great guys to spend a day on the water with, I'm told.
Who were other people you may have spent time with in the Lower Laguna? Just Chuck and...
Chuck Wade, Brian Robinson, Josh Fields.
Yeah.
And some of the old, there's some old Stony guys over there that have gone, that were more lure fishermen or killed a lot of fish, but they helped out our fly guys figure out the Lower Laguna too in the old days. But and good civilian anglers, Cruz Lamas, great civilian angler, as well. But it takes some seasoning to get up to speed where you can be competent with all the things that you got to deal with.
Absolutely.
Wind clarity.
I'll give you one more topic and then we'll start to close it out. You're an artist yourself. I'd like to know a little bit of how you got into that, what kind of makes you do the style that you do, which is kind of a very unique style that I've seen. Maybe some inspirations that you've had.
Not much. Sometimes it can be really slow here at the store. Yeah. And you you see two items and it turned out if you combine them, it might be something interesting. And I use that dot system, that pointillism, because it's hard to make a mistake with one dot, But Chance Yarbrough here started out as our part-timer, had huge talent, but he had some people helping along the way, and this guy was getting lessons every week, and now he's nationwide. Yeah. To watch him start from his early Timborski stuff, stylized stuff, to where he is now. It was great to see that happen right under our nose. Absolutely. But on my stuff, I can't compete with that, but I can put down a dot. And every time I have a beer, I put down a dot. So I've got a lot invested in these. Just trying to keep ice on the beer. Yep. And it's going to be one certain person that's going to jump on it. I'm not painting for the masses. Yep. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. There was no inspirations when you were younger, people that kind of caught your eye, especially growing into when you were at the forefront of like fly fishing in its infancy in the 90s. Well, we were certainly blessed with the big sporting art ethic down here. Meredith Lawn Galleries in the old days, Booth, Barnes and Cowan, the big three, all were huge on chronicling the sporting theater, everything from bird hunting to pigeon shooting. Chance has been in a lot of great places with his clients painting their travels. And I'd say this is a hotbed here as far as sporting art. And that, Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, I think we'll have enough time to close out the hour with the next two questions, if we take our time. The first question being, we're looking at everything you've done in your career professionally, or even just in your outdoor career. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently? Or no, I used to say regrets. I don't use regrets anymore because it has a negative connotation. Yeah. No, I think I found a pretty good pathway. Had a little bit of a scientific interest coming out of college, but I felt I could do more. I can do more impact on how people treat the water out there in the shop than going into the biology field and working on mangrove densities and this kind of stuff. You're working in ecological part of it, but I think I can do good impact here. So I think I had a good pathway, met tons of great people along the way, and just fish some pretty good places. Yeah. Yep.
And the last question I like to ask, which is typically kind of what we just alluded to one question ago, almost as if you're talking to like the next generation, like you said, kids who might be coming in, or maybe kids who are like in their teens, or however you want to put it, but to want to kind of make a career for themselves in the outdoor industry. What is a piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, I see any young kid prodigy coming in here, I say, do well in school so you don't end up in fly fishing retail like your Uncle Marcos and Uncle Lester and Uncle Andy. Do better. Yeah, do better. But I would say how you're raised, and, our vacations were always outdoor oriented. We didn't do the high dollar things. We did camping, canoeing, lifting up stones, catching crawfish, that kind of stuff. And that's all our vacations. We had a group of 6-8 families that all had 2.5 kids, and we all always had outdoor-oriented, cabin-oriented, river-oriented trips versus, shopping in southern France. Yeah. So that lines up your background to sort of ease towards the outdoor world rather than, So just depends. I think it's nature, nurture. I don't think you're going to jump onto an environmentally oriented pastime or lifestyle accidentally. Yeah. But someone dragging you halfway there helps.
Okay. Well, so we're under the hour. Is there anything else that you want to have had said? Any other cool stories that's like the Dave Hayward signature, something like that?
Nope. I think we got most of it done. I'm just thankful for my employer giving me this great interface down here, pretty much hands off. I've known him since the old days, and he's been very good and very beneficent with time and resources to allow us to do this shop here. We're proud of what we do here. I still love coming to work every day. Yeah. 16 years, 4 days, and 3 minutes later. So all good. Yeah.
Cool. With that being said, Dave, it's honestly, I'm so glad that I was finally able to come over here and make this happen. I'd been hearing it for a while. You got to get Dave on. And so I'm glad that you were up for it. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Great. Enjoyed it, Anders.
Absolutely. Was there any, not already went over that, but with that being said, there's nothing else to go over, so we can just get on out of here.
Let's sell you some rabbit and deer hair and get you out of here.
Perfect.